All right, troops. Welcome to the Actually. My name is Owen, and I'm joined by Charlie. How are you?
It's me. I'm good. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, thank you. So it's just us tonight because everybody else is fucked off and gone to see Super Mario World and didn't invite us, but that's
I,
okay. That is
yeah,
okay.
it's fine. It's fine, guys. It's
Yeah,
fine.
we're
You
not
know,
bitter about it at all. Yeah,
no,
everything's
not at all.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, something in my eye there.
Whew, that's
Anyway,
okay. It's all good, guys. Hope you enjoyed the
exactly.
movie.
Yeah, I'm delighted you went to see it. Anyway, so tonight we're going to be talking The Specialist anyway, and frankly, this is going to be better than the Mario movie anyway. The Specialist is the 1994 movie starring Sylvester Stallone, James Woods, and Sharon Stone. And I actually had to look at Rotten Tomatoes there, and it's
Mm.
sitting at 10%. Like, it's a 10%, and Thor: Love and Thunder is fresh. And I'm like,
Are
are you
you
taking the piss?
serious?
Yeah, and I'm like, further proving that critics are fucking idiots. I mean, oh my god.
I mean, it's got 5.6 on IMDb at least. I mean,
Yeah,
I trust that more than I do Rotten Tomatoes
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. I mean,
But
Thor is at 63% on a tomatometer, and I'm like, what?
well, I mean, not we're not trying to throw salt in the wound, but the Mario Brothers is like tanking on critics'
Yeah,
side, but the audience score is like through the roof. So it's like,
yeah,
fuck off. Just stop. If you
yeah.
can't just be objective, reviewing these things, then just don't.
Yeah, critics are irrelevant. Like they're actually people are like, oh, are there any critics you respect? I'm like, no, I don't read other critic reviews or anything else. Like when I do reviews, I'm a fan. I do it because I love the genre, whereas most of these dickheads look down on it.
Right.
And it's funny. Like even I've mentioned this all the time. I haven't mentioned it for a while. But I'm going to bring it up again. But anytime I would go to press screenings, and there'd be other people of the press there, and they'd be like, oh, they actually. Yeah, and they always sort of laugh at it. I was going to do a blog about it, but actually, I just mention it now, right? And I
Good.
was going to write it, and it's called "The Cult of Action," and it's like action is sort of the genre that's sort of looked down upon by everybody, and people are almost like ashamed of it. Whenever I watch all these other YouTube channels, people, collectors, and everything, it's all horror. Everyone has horror backgrounds. It's all the same fucking stuff. It's all
Yeah.
like, Halloween, The Fog, whatever, and that's great. I love that too,
Oh
but
yeah.
nobody ever has this Commando and John Wick poster and Thunder and
Demolition
yeah,
Man
all that
and
stuff.
Flash Gordon. Yeah.
And that's the thing. So that's why we have to keep doing what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not. I mean, I'm not going to throw shade at like horror because horror has just come out of the shadows a little bit. It's a little bit more mainstream, but
Yeah,
yeah, actions after the big guys, Stallone and
yeah.
Schwarzenegger, it really has been looked down upon, except for them, and even they were looked down on.
Even then,
I
they're
mean,
looked down
really,
upon people. I mean, well, look at this, 10%.
yeah.
And the thing is, what are people looking for in movies? Like when I saw the trailer to this, and I was like, this looks awesome. I can't wait. Um, like it's directed by Luis Losa. Did I pronounce that name correctly?
I was trying to figure that
I'm
out
not
too.
sure.
So
But he directed Sniper, which is
mhm,
great, and he did Anaconda as well, which isn't quite as
yeah,
great, but I still love it anyway. And you got Sly Stallone playing the amazingly named Ray Quick. It's just keeping the
I
action
love
hero
it.
name alive. You got to be like
I
name
love
that.
it. I love it.
And for some reason, I hadn't picked this up, or maybe it's just been a couple of years since I last watched it. I forgot that the stray cat he finds he calls Timer.
And the cat lives. They
Yeah,
purposely have a scene where the cat runs down the doorway, so everyone's like, "The cat made it. We're good."
that's
I was
all
like,
that
"I
matters.
actually I like that little touch." It's kind of like the Lethal Weapon where they
Yeah,
get the cat,
grab the cat.
run
Yeah,
out the building. But yeah, I think I read somewhere that this was offered to Rennie Harlan because he had just come off of Cliffhanger,
yeah,
and I was like, "Man, that would have been a different take on this movie for
yeah.
sure."
But I
You
don't know, that
know,
wouldn't have been quite the same, I don't think. But I mean,
I'm curious now though. Like you put that in my head, and it's like I kind of want to see what Rennie Harlan would have done with
oh
this
yeah, he
movie.
would have done a good job. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never read the books. I know it's based on novels by
no,
John Shirley, but he used the pseudonym of John Cutter. But there's all I sort of read the gist of some of the stories, and it sounded really interesting. And I thought this could have easily have been a franchise.
oh
Um,
yeah.
so
That's one of the weird things about it is it definitely could have been like the what were those the Clint Eastwood did one, then it was oh crap, behind enemy or in a line of fire.
oh, in Line of Fire, yeah.
It was all following that one character. Mine just went blank trying to
Hmm.
remember the name of it. But anyway,
Frank Corrigan, I think his name was in Line of Fire, wasn't it?
it was something like that. I don't
Yeah,
remember now.
I think it was. Yeah,
Brain went dead. But
yeah.
anyway, yeah, franchise. this definitely could have kept going.
Yeah, it's funny. It was sort of during that 90s period whenever there was like erotic thrillers and everything, which is something we don't get anymore because people aren't allowed to be sexy and women aren't allowed to be attractive in movies anymore. They all have to behave
No.
like men and take away their femininity. And you're like, that's great. That's the thing about John Wick. We never mentioned that. I love the John Wick movies, but there is no nudity in all 4 of those movies.
Nope. A little bit of sensuality here and there.
Yeah. Even
I
chick
think
gets into the bath when she's such a risk. You don't even see anything. I'm like, come on.
you don't see anything there. You don't see anything in the Russian club where the girls are just in bikinis and stuff
Yeah.
like that in there. And fourth one is even less. Like there's no point
Nothing at all. Yeah.
where
Oh,
anything
they'd be
could have even
cancelled if they did.
remotely. Well, to me, I still think it fits in those type of movies.
Yeah.
You
This
know,
is the thing. This is what I don't get. See, people who are offended by these sort of things, don't fucking watch it. Leave it for people who do watch it.
Right.
It's like whenever people say, "Oh, well, they can't really make James Bond movies these days because of blah 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 blah," and I was like, "Then don't fucking watch it. Leave it for the people who actually are fans of the character, and make
Right.
it for the people who like those characters. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Go away and don't watch it." And this is the thing. But people always have to change the world for them.
Well,
and it just
to
pisses me
be
off.
fair, they're not watching it either. They're just
No.
going off what other people say.
It's the
So,
Blue
you
Hair
know,
Brigade on Twitter. You know.
yeah, I mean, it's just nonsense, really, and it's what's killing the action genre. John Wick
Every
is
genre.
helping keep it alive. I mean, yeah, every genre, but I'm sorry, I miss the casual boob slip in an action movie. You know, just in a passing thing. Like it's like this movie, like you said, was very erotic. There's even like there's nudity, but it's not like full on frontal nudity. Sharon Stone's in it. You get
The
to see her
shower.
boobs.
I mean, the sex scene is
yeah,
prolonged
I
and
mean,
awkward, but
for I even hesitate just calling this movie a straight up action movie. This, like you said, this is very much a thriller. It has action elements to it, and it is James Bond, and it's even makes what's even, I don't want to say worse. What drives it home even more is who is it? What's that guy's name? John Barry. John Barry did the music for this movie.
I know.
So it's all 007 music.
One of my favorite scores he's ever done. The music is fantastic. It's just sort of slinky and sexy, and it's such a James Bond-esque score. And he also did like Dances with Wolves, and his scores were never sort of over the top, loud and bombastic, or whatever. It would always be kind of sort of quieter and orchestral. But they'd be amazing and dramatic at the same time. And
he doesn't do the James Williams or John Williams build, you know. So yeah, his is it's subtle, but man, it's impactful in this movie. I do enjoy this one quite a bit.
Me too.
But yeah, this is definitely not your it's not even a normal Stallone movie for me.
No. I remember when it came out, and some fans were sort of weirded out by it because they're waiting for like a Stallone movie. You're going to get lots of fight scenes and things like that, but the action in it is mostly explosions. But you do get, which is easily the best scene in the film, the bus fight, whenever he's fighting the thugs, and you know the seat appears to be vacant. I love that scene because it has absolutely nothing to the story. It's just there to show that he's a badass and can handle himself. And arguably, it could be said, you know, you do kind of wish there were a few more fight scenes. Like, I wanted him to beat the shit out of James Woods at the end of that movie. I wanted to see Eric Roberts get his ass kicked as well, because like they're so sleazy. I mean, Eric Roberts was just at his greaseball best in this movie. He's so smug.
He's perfectly cast in this movie.
Oh, he is. He's so good.
There's only one other actor I would have accepted in that role, and that would have been like Billy Drago, and that would have been it. You know, just Eric Roberts or Billy Drago in that role. That's it. I'm done.
Oh yeah, but we all know that the movie just belongs to James Woods. I think this is maybe my favorite James Woods role. Actually, Ned Trent, the villain, and there isn't even an iota of sympathy for him. He's not even he's an absolute cartoon character, and he knew exactly the kind of movie he was in. I was reading that like Stallone and Sharon Stone sort of took their roles seriously and thought they were in a more serious movie than they were. But James Woods knew exactly what he was in, and he just hammed it up, and he was brilliant. I mean, every scene he is in, he steals the show. Like, I love the scene where, you got that ace. After he's like winding guys up and putting the bomb together and showing that he is in fact a man with a particular set of skills.
My favorite scene in the entire movie is when he puts that bomb together in the office, and you're right. James Woods is gold in this. He is one of, like, if I love Stallone in action movies and he's like my top tier actioneer, James Woods right up there as far as actors. Like this
Mhm.
guy just dominates. I would have to say this is top contender and a top 5 for James Woods, but God, I still love him in Vampires.
Vampires
I
too. Yeah.
still absolutely adore that guy.
Yeah.
Hell, I love him as Hades and Hercules, man. It's
Yeah.
like I can never,
He's never
I'm not,
bad in
he's
anything. That's the
never
thing. Yeah.
bad in a movie. And it's the most throwaway scene in this movie. Most people probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But there's a scene at the end where they're at Stallone's compound. All the cops are pointing guns, and James Woods just walking through, and that gun's in front of him, and he just looks and pushes it down, and the guy goes, "Sorry."
Yeah. Sorry, sir.
I want to believe that was not scripted, and that guy
Yeah.
was in the way of James Woods, and he just sells it and keeps going, because I was like, it's the dumbest thing, but I love that whole scene.
I love
right
that because it works so perfectly for his character because he's just got that swagger, that arrogance. He just thinks he's God's gift,
Yes.
and that's what makes him so hateful as well. But one of my favorite scenes is whenever Ray Quick Stallone is on the phone to him and they're like talking for the first time, and Stallone's like, "Oh, you get off killing kids and killing people like this," and then Ned's just getting more and more annoyed, and he's just like, "Fuck you, Ray! Fuck you! You killed!" And he just like totally loses it. And then at the end, he's like, "You turn around!" And you just think everyone's trying not to laugh during that scene.
Yes.
I think it's just one of the most comedic scenes of the movie. Oh,
the way he just like, dismisses most people in this, like when they're trying to trace that call, and he goes over to the other guy like, "Come on, hurry the fuck up, just get this thing done." And the guy's like, "The fuck you want me to do? It's only going as fast as I can." He's just agony moments, especially when Stallone's like, he's there, isn't he? Just go ahead and put him on. I know he can hear me, and he just James Woods just looks so pissed off.
He's like, shit.
Yes. And I love the beginning of this movie where it starts out with that little bit of history from them blowing up the bridge. And God, he's just as slimy in that scene right there. Like,
he's never likable. That's the thing.
He's never likable. He's partners with Stallone. He taught Stallone everything, but he wasn't trying to stop the bomb. Even when Stallone took off running, he goes, he's never going to make it. It's like, you're just a son of a bitch, and I'm here for it. I like it.
Yeah. The thing is, what was interesting, what I noticed this time is that this was this just after Cliffhanger, I think?
Yep, Cliffhanger was 1993.
And they're both very sort of similar opening scenes where Stallone fails to save somebody and he's haunted by that for the rest of the film. Although that's never really sort of mentioned. You could have maybe done a bit more with that because he kind of just moved on. And it was just blowing people up and banging Sharon Stone, as you do.
I think that's one of the only drawbacks to this is I'm still trying to figure out what he does. Like, I get it, he's kind of for hire, but I watched the trailer, it's on my Blu-ray. It goes, he can be hired to take out the bad guys. Like he's some kind of vigilante. And I'm just like, well, you could have watched it instead of Mario Brothers. It's totally fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's right. And also, why are you online? Shouldn't you be watching Mario?
Right. But I was listening to the trailer and I'm like, they're making him out like this vigilante hero. And when you watch the movie, he's not. I mean, does Sharon Stone ever pay him to do this job? It's
maybe
like,
in one way, just not with money.
Now, originally he said we can never meet, but it's totally fine. But yeah, if there's anything about this movie where I was just slightly confused, is I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is your purpose? I can understand like you were trying to dismantle some kind of, CIA co-op type thing, but no, he just kind of happens upon this because James Woods, we find out in this movie, has set this whole thing up, which I love that twist. I love that twist in this movie.
Yeah.
Because it gets you. I remember the first time I watched this, I was a teenager. So this really wasn't the run and gun action movie I was expecting, but I still watched it. I was still like, okay, it's Stallone. Okay, there's some bombs and explosions. And I had just I think sometime around this, I was watching like Blown Away, which was Tommy Lee Jones and Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
Tommy Lee Jones with the worst Irish accent of all time.
I know, I do rub you a wrong way, but it's actually a decent movie. That one's got a lot more action in it than this one does. There's a whole car chase in it too. But I remember watching this for the first time, and it was that twist where you're just like, okay, I didn't expect that whatsoever. Now that I've watched it a few times, you can definitely see all the tells leading up to it. But I still like it. I still think it works for someone coming into this movie for the first time,
Mhm.
that they'll still be taken by surprise at the end.
Mhm. What's great about this movie, whenever I was watching it the other day, is the amount of practical effects on it. This is before CG. All the explosions were real. And the pyrotechnics in it are amazing, particularly at the end when the compound is blowing up.
Yes.
It just looks incredible.
It
And
does. It doesn't even look like miniatures.
no,
You know, I think there's
is it
only,
miniatures?
I don't know.
You can't even tell.
They had no problem in the 90s blowing up warehouses and
Yeah.
buildings. I think there's only one special effect that on Blu-ray I went, "Oh, wow, this did not age well." And that's when the side of the apartment is falling off of the
Oh yeah.
building. Cuz at first I was like, "Oh yeah, that guy lives. He falls out of
Mhm.
the window and he's
False.
alive." And then all of a sudden this whole building, but I love, like, you could tell it was like a green screen through the
Mhm.
windows. And the other thing, I always laugh at that whole scene, all that chaos is happening, and James Woods never stops pointing the
The
gun at
gun. Yeah. Like,
whoever
who are
he
you
is
shooting at?
talking to. He's like, "Grab my hand." The other hand's holding a gun.
Yeah.
It's just like, come
It's like,
on,
you
man.
don't mean what you're saying.
So
You
I'm
knew he
glad
was
I'm not the only one that picked up on that, though. I gotta say, it's the nuances of James Woods in this movie that I've probably seen this like 5 or 6 times, and every time I'm watching James Woods, man. I'm just like,
Mhm.
yep, I like this role. Stallone, but I'll be honest, this could have been just about any other actor,
Yeah.
honestly. He didn't need to be Stallone. He
Yeah.
was
It's
the
just a guy.
more,
Yeah.
yeah, the guy. He's a little bit more calm, a little bit more cool, which also kind of hurts the whole bus scene because it seems like maybe he's on the edge. He's tired of shit, but they
Mhm.
never go back to that style Stallone, you
Mhm.
know, but
I think that was a studio thing, if I remember correctly. They said, "You're right, stick that scene in because fans are going to not like this film if he's not beating people up at some point." And I was like, "Correct," and that's literally one of my favorite scenes of the film. I watch it all the time.
right.
I saw
And
it in the cinema back in the day in
oh,
1994.
really?
Yeah, I was 16 when it came out, so I was a teenager during the golden age. I got to watch all this stuff in the cinema. I saw Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, this Assassins, all
I
that stuff
saw
in
it
the cinema.
all on VHS. I was 14 when this came out because I was born
Mm.
in 80. So it was like just before I was able to. But this was also the ones where dad would rent it, he'd watch it and go, "Yeah, okay, you can watch it. Wasn't that bad." I mean, a nip slip from Sharon Stone. And honestly, when dad let me watch this, it would have been fast forwarded
Oh, yeah,
through
yeah,
that
it's the
whole
same for me.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm used to that. Like I've said before, I didn't know half the stuff in these movies till I was writing them on my own, going, "Where the hell did that scene go?" You know, not quite made for TV, just made for Charlie.
Mhm.
That was pretty much what it was.
Uh,
But yeah, but the one thing I did read though, while we were talking about James Woods being God in this movie, is Stallone actually cut this dude's lines.
yeah, because
They
he thought
got
he was stealing the movie from him. Yeah,
he
like he was.
and this was the thing, and I did like this, is wasn't like Stallone was bashing him. It was because he knew he was the superior actor.
Mhm.
And it was just, God, this guy's a better actor than me. Let's shave some of this. But then he recorded more lines for himself
Mhm.
before the movie came out. So I'm like, yeah, you got a little bit of narcissism going on there,
Oh,
but I
oh
hate to
yeah,
tell you
no,
that.
that's not. No one's going to deny that.
No.
Um, what was interesting is that both Stallone and Stone were both so awkward during the love scenes that they drank a lot of vodka to relax themselves.
I
To
read
do
that.
yeah, and I thought, yeah, I could believe that because like recording stuff like that, like in front of a crew and everything,
Yeah.
like that's so
I
and it's
know
even awkward to watch. I'm like,
they like,
is it
oh, it
on?
was awkward to watch. I was
Yeah.
just, you're sitting there. That's the point when mom and dad would walk in the room.
Hmm.
All
Every
the
time.
bombs and cussing, no one cares. This part comes on, mom walks in the room.
You're like,
But yeah,
"Mom!"
but yeah, I was reading that and I was just like, and from what I understand, Sharon Stone was even like, you know what, I'm tired of doing nudity.
Yeah,
And I was just like, didn't you just do Basic Instinct?
yeah.
And Stallone went, okay, but can you do that on someone else's movie? I'm like, that's a hard line, man. But I
That's
mean,
like,
it's Stallone. Although I think I would prefer Sharon Stone from Total Recall than Sharon Stone in this movie for some reason. I
mhm.
liked her in Total Recall a lot
I
better.
always think she's very sort of hard faced. I think, but I mean, she's gorgeous. But that's actually why I think she was perfect as Mae Monroe, though, because like I love the scenes where she's like dancing with Eric Roberts and everything, and she's trying to hide her disgust. And I think that actually requires proper acting, and she acts the shit out of it.
Yeah.
which I don't think she actually gets enough credit for.
No, she's a fantastic actor,
Mhm.
period. I mean, I like Sharon Stone, and not that I would want to see anyone else in there. Honestly, I'm glad they put someone like her in there and
Mhm.
not some no name or, up and comer that didn't have any acting chops to her.
Mhm.
Sharon nails this role. I think just personally, I prefer her in some other roles.
Yeah.
But I think she works good against Stallone. I mean, that's a big presence to kind of
Mhm.
stand out. And thankfully, she only has a little bit up against James Wood. If she'd have been up against James Wood the whole movie,
Mhm.
she would have. You could have put anyone in that role because
Yeah.
James Wood would have overshadowed her
Right.
completely.
Well,
Because
that
that's what
scene,
he
he
does.
slaps her around.
Yeah,
And it's, oh god, you just hate him so much.
and
He's a
then
bullying asshole.
that's the moment that the twist happens. I mean,
Mhm.
you're put like there's all the pieces laid out that he has planned this and she's in on it, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like,
Mhm.
really? Like, damn, she's a bitch. Holy shit, James Woods just smacked the shit out of her. And then like
Mhm.
Eric Roberts walks in and everyone's like, well, nothing to see here. What did it do? Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, Eric Roberts ain't the smartest guy in this movie, but I think he knew something was
Oh
up
yeah, he
right
knew something
about
was up
that.
there. Yeah. So, I think that's also one of my favorite Eric Roberts roles. So, like, even just like the haircut and just that smug smile or whatever. I was, oh, he deserved a more satisfying death than what he actually gets in it.
Yeah, I don't really care. The kill makes it feel like Sharon Stone did it, that
Mhm.
it wasn't Stallone.
Mhm. Which is what
And
it's supposed to. Yeah.
yeah, it's supposed to be Stallone did it. They lay out the whole rules for him is he is precise. So he does what's called shape charges. So
Mhm.
it means, wherever that he wants the explosion to go, that's where it goes. He blows up that one dude in that casino slash
Yeah.
bar. I
The guy with the
love that
beard.
kill.
Yeah.
The
That's
guy
a
with the
great kill.
beard and
Yeah.
lands in the aquarium. I'm
Yeah.
like, that is awesome. But they make a point to go, yeah, the explosion didn't go left or right. It hit the intended target.
Targeted. Yeah.
But if you don't remember that, and it goes into the Eric Roberts scene, and she walks into the cabana right after Eric Roberts, and Stallone freaks out, the bomb goes off. She survives.
Mhm.
But I still feel like it's like you leading up to that, you felt like she knew Stallone was about to make a hit on him,
Mhm.
and why would she purposely walk in there? Why would
Yeah.
she? So it was like either she knew he was going to set the bomb, and that was her escape, or she did it. It's just weird. It was very weird, kind of when I'm watching
Yeah.
it to take it, to really kind of get into the movie. I was just like, I don't know. I feel like it should have been like the last second she walks into the room. Like
Mhm.
there would be because they have that whole thing where Stallone tries to run back. He tries to dig out the transmitter. It's like it should have been like at that very no way Stallone could stop it,
Mhm.
and then it blows up.
Yeah. Also, I love that scene where he's basically doing like Tai Chi and she's just standing in her underwear and they're talking on the phone and it's like a Red Shoe Diaries episode or something, some softcore porn, and they're just like talking and it's like I remember in the cinema everyone was just bursting out laughing. We were like,
Yeah,
really? And I was like, is this meant to be funny? Because it is.
Stallone's so freaking veiny
Yeah,
when
that's
he's
my
like
thing. Like she's in her
flexing.
underwear, but I'm like, well, look at his veins.
Look at him, and he is like doing like he looks like he's surfing in the middle of the room,
Yeah,
and
it's
so I guess
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
Tai Chi. Again, doesn't come up at all
No.
because in the bus scene, it's more of a barroom fight.
Mm.
It's more close quarter, so it's not like he's a martial artist. It's not like he uses it ever again,
Mm.
and it's just like, who's this for? Like,
Yeah.
this for all the girlfriends that got drugged to see the specialist because their boyfriends were like, no, it's supposed to be like this erotic
Romantic
thriller.
thriller.
Exactly. But
Uh,
yeah, watching it today, I was in the wood shop going, this is not a wood shop movie. This isn't something I should just have on in the background.
no.
I can't control myself when I see that. I better not be doing anything important because I'll bust out laughing when I see it.
Yeah, it's so funny, and that's the thing. But the other thing, which is the best aspect of the film in terms of pure comedy, is Rod Steiger as Joe. He's a Joe
Oh
bastardo.
my God. He is the most stereotypical character in this movie. He reminds me of the guy in Last Action Hero that was supposed to be that what are you talking? You do a 360 degree. No, it's 180. Like the guy's always correcting. This guy's legit trying to play this character
Yeah,
as a crime boss, but he sounds like the guy that's a caricature
yeah, the
of the
total
Italian
caricature.
mob. And I'm just like, wow, this guy really went for it. And it just does not work for me.
No,
Eric
he's
Roberts was a better
terrible.
bad guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his father didn't even really need to be in it, Joe.
No.
I mean, Eric Roberts could have just had his role fleshed out a bit and had a bit more. But for pure comedy gold, I mean, Rod Steiger is just awesome. I mean,
yeah, it's unintentionally funny. It really is. You're just, and the other thing is weird is like he's got this whole thing against Stallone's character, yet he never finds out that it was James Woods that killed his son, or did all set up his son to be killed. That was a trap to bait Stallone out in the open. And I'm just like, so that guy never even found out who actually was the bad guy in this movie or who actually killed his son. Yeah. It's like, well, that's kind of weird, and I don't like how they killed him. I'm going to say that right now. I don't like how he dies at the end.
Yeah, that's what I find about a lot of the kills is that although he's he's an explosives expert, you do wish that some of the kills could have been a bit more intimate or whatever, because you find you're not as emotionally involved whenever it just blows up and you're like, oh, that's it.
The one that works, and it ain't Stallone's, it was James Woods with the cigarette case.
Yes,
that one works the best because he tells them it's there. That's what. Now what are you going to do? Mercury switch, the whole thing. He activated it. That was more effective. But just the size of the locket at the end when the boss opens it up, I'm like, okay, any amount of C4 is explosive, but I feel like that's still like holding an M80 in the palm of your hand. It's just going to cause a burn at worst, maybe something hits you in the eye. They make it out like the whole damn room blows up. Like it's a chunk of C4 goes off. And I'm like, no, it was in a freaking envelope, man. That's no, I did not care for that ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, it's definitely not a perfect movie. There are all kinds of sort of little things that sort of nag at you, but just for sheer silliness, it's such an easy film to watch. Like I can stick it on. I don't even need to pause it. Just watch it straight through, and I enjoy it for every second it's on. And I'm like, flaws and all. I'm just like, I'm sorry, this movie is an absolute riot. Even Stallone isn't that great. And I mean, this is apparently like sort of a deliberate thing. There's the performances, whatever, because it's sort of similar to the books. But like, I always remember once again, people were laughing in the cinema when the trailer came out, and Stallone's on the phone. He's like, "You have no mercy. You have no code, no fucking code, or whatever it is he says." I remember everyone sort of laughing there, and he's sort of just being a bit too sort of overly dramatic.
And look, I'll give Stallone credit, all the credit in the world that he is one of the few that truly wanted to be a legit actor. He didn't want to be stuck as a stereotypical action, movie guy. And I think out of most of them that we got in the 80s and 90s, he's probably higher up on the acting chops.
I would say so. Yeah, you just need to watch the Rocky movies. Like Rocky movies, he's great in Copland.
I mean, the Rocky Copland. I mean, if you want to watch a better acted Stallone movie, watch Lock Up.
Yeah,
I love him in that movie, and it works. But that's a movie that works to his strengths. This movie, I think he was stretching himself out there a little bit, but still, this wasn't even written for him. I think he was like second choice or something like that because someone else turned it down, and so and he had to be convinced to even take it. So it's like,
who would have been perfect in it? Richard Gere. It should have been a Richard Gere role.
100%. I mean, it's kind of, think about like the Jackal and stuff like that Richard Gere did. I mean, I definitely could have seen him in it. I think there was plenty of kind of that everyman kind of roles. I think what I read was they threatened him that if he didn't take it, they were going to pass it off to like Warren Beatty. Because they were like, look, if you don't accept this, and I think it was like a stupid amount of time, like 20 minutes, they were like, it's going to Warren Beatty. And so they, I guess, just trying to take that ego out of him. Like, look, man, you're not it in Hollywood. We'll get someone else. So maybe he felt like he needed to kind of elevate himself up a little bit more. I don't know. It works. I like this movie. I'm not dogging on the movie, But when we actually get to talk about it and really like kind of analyze
nitpick it, yeah.
Yeah, when you nitpick it, and you're up against James fucking Woods, for God's sake. You know, that's a stacked deck.
Yeah.
Period. As soon as you start this movie, you know, and I love him to death in this, man. Like I said, I love the intensity of him when he makes that bomb in front of what is the FBI deal, whatever it is. He's
the bomb squad,
the bomb squad agency.
You're the expert.
Yeah, here you go. Oh, look at this stick of C4 just left out, not in a locker anywhere. And he just makes it out of an ink pen.
Yeah.
And just like, okay, I set it off. Disarm it now, please. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. Do it. Let it blow it up. I don't give a shit. I love his intensity in this. Stallone can't do that.
No. It's something, what is it he says? He's like, but it's nothing without a detonator or whatever it is. I just love the way he says
Yeah. Yeah, this is nothing without a detonator. And then he like flips a bunch of switches on like a radio type thing, and it's like he built a detonator right there, you know. And then the kiss, the end of it is like he's like, I'll disarm it, and he clicks the pin, and that's it. That's how simple he made it. Yet the bomb squad had and they watched him build it, and it's just like click. Okay, no more problem. It's solved. Only James Woods. Only James Woods.
Oh no, yeah, definitely one of my favorite roles of his. That and Vampires and Cop, and he's done some great movies. But this one, for me, this is a James Woods movie, and everyone else is just along for the ride. Basically, it's like
100%.
Yeah. 100%. But yeah, Rod Steiger is awful, and I remember it's one of the worst things he ever did is Julie on. But it's whenever James Woods shows up to Tommaso's funeral, whatever, and he's there, and he's like, "Joe, try to blame this on me, Joe bastard." It's just like he's like breathing out his nose, whatever.
He's doing that. That's another scene with James Woods is he walks in there, and you know the dad's like on his knees crying, and you could see James Woods' lip curl. Of how disgusted of what he was going to say. He's like, I'm really sorry about this, you know, and you're just like, this dude, like he hits every single mark in this movie. Period.
So perfect. Like he feels nothing but contempt for everybody around him, and that's the thing. He's just like, I'm better than all of you, but he kind of knows that Ray is better than him. And that's where it's good. I mean, even I got to say, I do find his death scene actually the most disappointing because he sort of gets blown around, but then you don't actually see him die. You see him and he's sort of lying there or whatever.
He's like
and then sort of
on fire, kind of.
But then it cuts away and I'm like, really? Is he definitely dead? Or, you know?
Yeah, that was
satisfying. They should have had like a fight scene then. Yeah. And then it gets thrown onto a bomb or something. I think that would have worked better. I would have liked to have seen them fight again, even though I suppose where they got that in the opening scene and Stallone beat his ass. So,
well, he obviously overpowers, and I think that's what happened is because Stallone's so overpowered. Like, how do we depower Stallone? And he makes a comment like he hates knives. I'm like, that comment doesn't make any sense in this movie, and it's almost like he only wants to kill with a bomb, and it's the only way he can one up James Woods is by blowing him up. But it's like, your whole building's rigged to blow. I'm like, I didn't really like that either. It's just like, I only know where they are, yet on the computer, they're nice little perfectly gridded out, you know, and once one goes off, they all do. I'm like, yeah, once one goes off, didn't it say it takes like 30 seconds for another one to go off? A lot of convenience.
Movie logic.
And I really wish Woods would like have him come back, have him like dig out of the rubble and go after Stallone right at the tail end. You know, if you're gonna blow him up like Tommy Lee Jones and blown away, like a big ass fucking explosion. But then there still needs to be something at the end. That was the beauty of that movie was you killed Tommy Lee Jones. The movie's not over. You look at the thing and go, why is there 15 more minutes? Tommy Lee Jones left a trap and now they have to defuse the bomb in the Jeep. This was James Woods never went and retaliated against him other than the cigarette case. You know, it needed that little bit extra, even
better
for some
closure,
better closure, a little bit more drama, a little bit more impact instead of well, I guess we're done,
Mm.
and that's pretty much it.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, this versus Blown Up or Blown Away.
Blown away.
Really?
As much as I love James Woods, Blown Away is closer to an action movie
Mm.
and has actual like trying to think of the word, like there Tommy Lee Jones has a target, and Jeff Bridges is trying to stop him from being able to
Mm.
carry out this. So there's actual things at stake. This is literally some guy wanting revenge on Stallone. The
Hmm.
entire that's what the whole movie's about.
The movie's just all about revenge. Yeah, she wants
It's
revenge on the people who killed her parents, and he wants revenge on Sloan and all that. Yeah.
that's it. I mean, and
Hmm.
that's kind of where it's all wrapped. There's no stakes. That's the word I'm looking for. There's
Stakes.
really
Yeah.
no stakes to this movie. Put James Woods in Blown Away, it's the best movie ever made.
Yeah.
Period.
Or have an actual Irish person rather than Tommy Lee Jones, because
I
that's why I say the specialist, because Tommy Lee Jones was fucking terrible, and that just like Richard Gere was terrible in The Jackal. It's like nobody can do Irish accents apart from maybe Brad Pitt in Snatch. He was good, but
yeah,
generally very few people can do a convincing Irish accent. And someone whose family is Irish, then anytime I watch it, I'm like, oh, that's really bad. You know?
I totally get that. I really do. And it's the better villain is James Woods.
Mhm.
Better story is Blown
Yeah,
Away.
yeah. Blown Away story was good. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it was like this big thing in the 90s for like these erotic kind of
Mm.
thriller
I
type things.
miss these, like
Mhm.
Indecent Proposal and 9.5 weeks and fuck, what's it called?
Well, even
Unfaithful and stuff like that.
Unfaithful, Basic Instinct
Yeah, all
was
those stuff. Yeah,
one.
basically, of course, yeah.
And
I got all those.
then you got like the sexy action movies, because you got movies like Fair Game, because it's like, let's throw Cindy Crawford into an action movie with a Baldwin. Everyone will go watch that. It's just like they were just trying this new formula to try and broaden the audience a little bit, is what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it. I don't really have an issue with it.
Oh no, I
Do
miss
I?
movies like that. I want to see more
Yeah,
nudity in movies again. Come
or at least some sultriness. Just
on.
make women
Sexiness.
sexy
Yeah,
again.
it's like
You
I
know,
remember Paul Verhoeven said that about like the Marvel movies. He's like, why does nobody fuck in these movies? Like, why does nobody have sex? And I was like, well, they're kids' movies,
yeah.
so there's that. but but that's true. Like, there's never any real like relationships or anything like that. Really, I mean, it's always very much on the sideline. That's why I never care about any characters in the MCU. Like,
Hmm.
spoiler alert: when Tony Stark died in Endgame, I was like, oh well, he was a dick anyway. Yeah,
I mean, you're not
like,
wrong. I mean, I feel like it was, to me, it was impactful. There was a lot of time invested in that
mhm.
whole franchise. I think the closest we ever got was the didn't they Scarlett Johansson
Yeah,
and the
Bruce
Hulk
Banner.
kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it's just like, I still think it was straight up the Hulk. I don't think Bruce Banner had a shot. He was not in there.
Mm.
But I think that was ever really the closest
No.
it got
Then
for some
yeah,
kind
and
of
it's never
relationship.
explored any. Yeah. Um,
No, I'm more interested in Cap, and
yeah.
his whole thing. I had better closure with that happening
Mhm.
at the end of the movies than
Yeah.
anyone else's. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different shift in movie. There was is it called The Siege? It's this new action guy. He's freaking cut as hell. He's got a new movie coming out. He's
Oh
like
yeah. Um,
Norwegian or Swedish or something.
see that now you've see no, my mind has just gone blank and I've forgotten his name.
See,
Uh,
I've passed it on.
yeah. Fuck, hold on. Because I was going to interview him, but I couldn't get the time off work. Um, I feel so bad that I
That's
actually forgot the
okay.
guy's name.
It's definitely of one of
Daniel
those
Stizen or Stizen.
Stizen, Daniel Stizen. So
Stizen.
Nate and I had watched the one that's on Netflix. I think it's called The Siege or something like
Yeah.
that. And they are the closest movie I've seen in a long time that let a woman be sexy. They have a shower scene where you're like, oh, this is the point where she's going to drop the towel. No, they show a behind scene bare, and you're like, okay, I'm okay with it. It's better than nothing. I'll take it from that. Is it the best action movie ever? No, it has its flaws, but I was at least like, they're trying, and they're touching on what kind of like the checklist of what you need in these movies. It's like, are horror movies cutting themselves out? I don't think they are. We're getting movies like X and Pearl that still have
Yeah,
nudity and
lots
stuff
of
like that in their
yeah.
movies. It's like, why are those okay, but with no more in action movies?
I know. See, this is the thing. The cult of action. That's the thing is that, like, we want to see the type of old school action movies, and they don't make them anymore. Like John Wick, it's not an old school action movie; it's a modern
No,
action movie
it's
with
totally
modern
new
sensibilities.
blood, and we needed
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But yeah,
Because the action genre was really dead up until that. I mean, there was stuff like the Bourne movies, and they practically just put their nail in the coffin, really.
we had the Bourne, we had the Expendables, which was just our old heroes
Yeah, Taken,
on
I
a
suppose.
Taken on 1 and 2. The third one.
Sucked,
Yeah, I didn't really care for that one, but that was the style we were going for. Kind of this Mission Impossible, maybe.
yeah.
Kind of we're keeping it a little bit better now. Definitely the last few, they've really kind of elevated it. But yeah, it just hasn't ever been like movies like Con Air, Face Off, like where are those movies?
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't want people to do a sequel or a reboot of them or whatever. I was like, no, do a new movie, but do it in the style of those movies. And the thing is, whenever people try doing movies like set, in the 80s or whatever, they do it where it's almost sort of taking the piss out of it or sort of laughing at it and mocking.
Right.
And I'm not interested in that. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested in laughing at movies. Sometimes, a specialist, you'll laugh at stuff like that, or whatever. But whenever sort of mocking the genre at the time, and I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I can't remember what it was I saw the other day, but people were like laughing at Roadhouse. And I was like, I'm sorry, that's better than any of the piece of shit movies that have been in like the past 10, 20 years.
That's fucked up. Yeah, you don't laugh at Roadhouse. Roadhouse, good God, man. It was like Nate and I we just did Last Stand, and it was just one of those like newer. I think it's 2013.
Yeah, it was Arnie's first one after the governorship.
It was Arnie kind of coming back, and that one really does it. Like that one hits almost every one of the things. But even we're sitting there going, this would have even been cool had it been like, Matrix had retired and he's a small town sheriff, and just bring it back into Commando, into The Last Stand, just all these like why aren't we getting movies like that? Like I want to see these, like the WWE tried to do it, and I'll give them credit. Like they didn't always make it right, but
I like the
when they did
movies.
I was going to say the Marine, all those type of movies, they ran them into the ground. But they were like the closest thing that we were getting to like what we had in the 90s as far as actioneers. The Condemned with Stone Cold, which is a fucking badass movie.
That was good, actually, here's a guy. Hello, Shinobi. Extraction is awesome. The trailer for 2 looks amazing. Yes, Extraction is definitely a good throwback to old school style.
I think those are like, some of them are realizing that there is an audience on like Netflix and stuff like that, which we've said. How long have we said that now? We've been screaming that from the rooftops forever, that you just go into there. That's what's kept names left me. Scott Adkins paycheck it's just like the new straight to video, just straight to streaming, keep me busy. Let's do this. Let's keep the action genre going. And just now people are realizing that what his name is, how long has this man been doing this work? And no one's paying attention.
That's the thing. He's been doing this since like early 2000s, Scott Adkins, and now you're seeing him in all these like Hollywood things, whatever, and talking to him, and you clearly know that they've never seen any of his movies before.
They're treating him like a new person. They're treating him like he's brand new, and he's sitting there going, okay, they're paying attention.
What's your favorite boycott movie?
Exactly. Yeah. You look just like Van Damme a little bit. Well, I did body double for him a little bit, and stunt double and a few other things for him. It's just kind of weird where the action genre has shifted and people's perception of it. I mean, it's never been, like we said, mainstream, but damn it, there used to be blockbusters that were summertime movies.
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, it absolutely used to be that was the biggest. And the superhero movies have taken over from that for now, but I think they're coming to the end now because
we're getting tired.
Yeah,
I'm burnt out.
The Marvel movies now are crap.
Yeah,
and even DC,
Oh, anything. It doesn't matter whether it's Marvel, DC, or even any other kind of EU, whatever. I'm over it, guys. Slow it back down to like 2 a year, if at that.
Or stop for 5 years, and then that's what they should have done after Endgame. is that it was called, like I said, End Game. So why don't you
Yep.
end for a while and then come back in a few years and then refresh it, or whatever,
I
and
would
then
have
people will
been
be ready for it.
I would have been fine with that. Maybe focus a little bit on the television end of it,
Yeah.
and then bring it back up into theaters and just kind of have this ebb and flow
Mm.
so that people don't get burnt out, because now they're losing money.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong. Like, they feel like they got to make these things, otherwise they're going to lose money. They're making them and they're still losing money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
the thing.
what do we know? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not experts. J-Man's the expert.
You're the expert. You're the expert.
Yeah, exactly.
God. All right, Ace.
I want to watch more James Woods movies now.
Actually, I haven't seen Cop for a while. I must give that
Cop's
a
a good one. What's the one with him and Michael J. Fox, where Michael J. Fox is
The Hard Way?
The Hard Way.
Yeah.
That one's always a little bit fun. Hell, I'll watch Videodrome. It's weird as fuck, but I'll watch it. I mean, I enjoy the hell out of that movie. But God, it's just something about James Woods and Lance Hendrickson. These guys that just dive into these characters and embody them. Like we just did Stone Cold. And when Lance plays Chains, and I believe Lance was in a biker gang, like for a while.
Yeah, he's just one of those actors. You just believe anything he does.
I believe anything he says, and James Woods has that same effect with me. I believe vampires is James Woods' other job. Like everything on that thing, that's what James Woods does for a hobby, is hunt vampires in Texas.
And also, one of my favorite lines, which I say all the time, where he's like, "I'm like little head, huh, Padre?
Like little mahogany, little what? Little ebony." As a woodworker, that joke goes over really well for me.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you know what'd be cool if they actually. I remember there was talk about this, but doing like the Expendables as a TV series, where like you could have like a season where each episode focuses on each individual character,
one of the
like
members,
and then at the end of the season they have a big, huge climactic battle with some drug lord or something like that, and you have little things in between.
I think something like that would work. I mean, why aren't we getting TV shows like The A-Team, like Knight Rider, like all these things we grew up with?
We had great shows. Was it Cinemax? And they had like Strike Back and Banshee and everything. Those were like some of the best action shows I've ever seen. Why can't we have more like them? But then they stopped making them.
Or go back to like what Fox and a couple of the other WGN, USA, where we had like Mantis, Tropic Thunder, Viper. I want TV shows like that again.
Yeah,
like there's Renegade. Jesus, give me some Lorenzo Lamas, man. I would watch the hell out of that right now.
Yeah.
But I'm stuck with like murder documentary shows. How many fucking CSIs do I need to watch now? Where have we not been in CSI? I'm over it. Like now it's a serial killer, and now Dexter's gone. Now there's this guy, what's it called? Something.
No,
yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know the show. Yeah.
My wife watches it. I nothing has like. Sometimes she'll watch something that'll catch my attention, and I'll be like, oh, "Okay, this seems sound cool." You never even looked at the TV screen. Like I just didn't care, and I'm like, I always give her crap. I'm like, we're watching murder porn, aren't we? Like, well, yeah. I'm like, I want some fucking action like TV shows, like I used to watch, like Highlander and shit like that, man.
Yeah, I recently bought the box set of Knight Rider, so I'm going to be watching that. And then
I got that.
In the site.
I got it for Christmas. It's sitting in the shop ready for me to start, man. I got they had released the diecast cars, and I've got Kit and Car. I got the evil version of Kit as well. So I was so excited. I didn't get a little Michael Knight. Oh, I got it right there on the shelf. I'll pull them out. Love that stuff, man.
Oh, me too. And Miami Vice was my shit. That was Miami Vice is my favorite show maybe of all time.
Mine was 18.
Yeah, A-Team I loved as well. A-Team I loved growing up. That's what I watched all the time. I didn't actually watch Miami Vice because I was too young at the time, but I watched it like a few years ago when I got the DVD set, and I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I love the show, everything about it.
It's yeah, that was always one that was on later, like when I went to bed. So Miami Vice was, so it was like I could watch A-Team. It came on at 8, so it was like I grew up on A-Team. It was like my dad's show. I did that, and like Dukes of Hazzard, all the basic stuff in the 80s. But I just get sucked into it, man. And it's just like a flashback of that time period. And even some of them are still just flashbacks of actually the 70s, not even the 80s. But you're just like, man, it just takes me back. And I look at TV now going, Now it's like, okay, it made it 2 seasons. We're done. Let's start something else now. And it's just like, man, it's
Everything
got
gets
no,
cancelled so quickly now. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing.
it's got no heart, or it goes on too long. I'm sorry, this last season of Cobra Kai, I couldn't get into it. Like
Yeah.
I was in for like the first 3 seasons, and I was like, this is cool, this is cool. Now I just felt like, oh, it's a new character, but the exact same fucking story.
Yeah.
And now everyone's pissed off at Daniel again. Okay, cool. All right, we've done this 3 fucking seasons. Can we try something new?
Yeah,
You know,
I was hoping that this was going to be like the last season, but this upcoming one is the last
this
one. It's like, yeah,
upcoming one is.
you could have wrapped up there, but I mean, your man is now in jail, so
yeah, I mean, I like that Chosen's in it. You know, I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I like that character. I like
Ian
that.
Griffith, yeah.
I love that that arc that's going on there. And I like Thomas Ian Griffith. I mean, I think he's a fantastic actor, and it was good to see Silver again. But I'm now just kind of like, all right, I'm over it. I don't really care, you know, about any of these characters right now. And we finished it, and I was just like, it felt like a chore. I felt like I need to finish it so everyone like knows I watched it. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Make it stop. Cancel it.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh.
What other show? I mean, yeah, I'm watching The Mandalorian right now, and that's pretty much it. And then even this season, I'm sort of like,
I haven't started it yet. I'm like, let's get it all out. Then I'm going to do that with Last of Us. I never played the game, but I'm going to watch the whole thing when I have time.
I watched The Last of Us, and I pretty much binged it. Was it last week and did a review? I gave it like 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was good. I've never seen the movie, but I have seen The Walking Dead, and I just felt like I was watching kind of a Walking Dead episode.
That's another one I'm totally over. And there's
I got bored after 4 or 5 seasons. Yeah.
There's a half dozen spinoffs coming off from it, and I do not care about any of them. More power to you if you guys can get a paycheck for it. Go for it, you know, whatever. But me, I checked out at like season 4. I read the books, and I'm one of those guys. I read the books. You guys changed it a lot. Now I don't feel like I'm following the same story, and it's changing too much. And I'm just like, okay, I'm out. I don't care. You know, it's got to connect with me. First season of Mandalorian, fuck, I was there, man. I was every bit of it. You couldn't have tore me away from that television. There's one, I haven't started it, and we're talking about Stallone. We might as well bring it back. I want to watch Tucson. I want to watch
Tulsa King.
Tulsa King, that's it.
Yeah, Tulsa King is really, really good. It's the best thing he's done in years, actually. Yeah.
I've been sucked into watching little clips of the TV show on TikTok, and I'm just like, I need to stop doing this and watch it, but I can't stop. I'm like, what happens next? What happens?
Because the episode's only half an hour long, which is great. They're like about 35 minutes, which I love. And then there's only, I think, 9 episodes, so it's definitely worth watching.
And I think Schwarzenegger has a TV show coming out.
He does. Fubar, yeah.
Fubar, yep. I'm interested. I'll probably check that out. I want to watch
for sure
Tulsa King. But I mean, most other television shows just don't even interest me anymore.
People are like, oh, you need to watch this show and you need to watch this show. And I'm like, I can't be bothered investing that much time into it. You know, it's like 24 episodes. I'm like, no.
I have watched Justified 3 times through the season because that show's fucking phenomenal. I've watched Jack Reacher twice now. I realized how much I really enjoyed that television. And that the second season, I think, just got done filming, something like that. And I love Alan Richardson in that. I think he nails it. I like Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher,
but he's not Jack Reacher.
Yeah. But he's actually not the book Jack Reacher, and this guy's closer.
Well, Alan Richardson is, yeah.
I love that whole thing. I love that television show.
They also need to cast him as He-Man. I've seen that before.
Yeah,
but
I'd just be happy if they do it. I just give me a He-Man movie. I don't care at this point.
Get me and J-Man to write it, and
I'm there.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, because we would know exactly what to do with it.
Yep.
I wanted that. I wanted a Castlevania movie.
Why don't we have that? We got the animated, which I
didn't like.
You didn't like it?
No, I was like, this doesn't feel like Castlevania to me. I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's definitely more anime flavored, and I
hate anime. That's the thing.
I don't like anime. I don't like anime, but because I at least understood the characters, I understood the Belmonts and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I can follow this a little bit more. Plus, I did watch like Vampire Hunter D when I was younger. So I was like, that's
game of that.
Yeah, that was my anime basically. So I didn't mind it. But I never like even got into like there was a whole like new Godzilla series that came out that was
I
like
didn't watch
basically an
that.
anime.
Yeah.
I didn't bother with that. My Simon Belmont was Captain N, the Saturday morning cartoon, the buffoon. Did you ever watch that? Did you guys have Captain N where the kid got sucked into the Nintendo games?
Might have been after my time, I think.
Oh man. No, you got to look that up on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
Captain N, there was like a Kid Icarus, Eggplant Wizard, Mother Brain from Metroid, and
No,
he had like the power zapper.
no, for me it was like He-Man, Transformers, Mask, Jason, the Wheeled Warriors, Brave Star. That was
See,
all
I
stuff
watched
I watched
those.
growing up. Yeah.
You're only like 2 years older than me, man. It's like, gee, wow.
This is a stupid kid.
He's just a dumb kid, 2 years younger than me. No,
You
it
haven't
was
seen
cool,
what
man.
I've seen.
Exactly. I have seen yours on. I got exposed to G.I. Joe and Sunbow. That was worse than anything anyone ever could have.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting enough, do you know that G.I. Joe in the UK was called Action Force?
yes. You guys
Which is,
had a different Ninja Turtles too, didn't you?
yeah, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because the ninjas
Hero
were offensive.
Turtles.
Yeah, there's some dick in charge of the BBFC back then. I can't remember his name. Was it James something? I don't know. And I remember him. He anything to do with like ninjas or ninja weapons or anything. I was like, if I ever meet that guy, I'm gonna kick him in the balls.
Absolutely, I would.
I was like, you fucking tool, ruining entertainment. I despise censorship of any kind. I'm just like, no, if you don't like it, don't watch it. It's up to the parents to guide what their children should or should not watch. So that's what Dr. Owen thinks. So,
I'll agree
vote
with
for
that.
me for safe and secure society.
I'm not even Canadian, but you got my vote.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not Canadian either. I don't
There we
belong
go.
anywhere. I just live here, but I'm not Canadian. All right, let's see. Is there anything else we can say about the specialist? Any more stories about
I
it?
know we kind of went on a tangent like we
That's what we
normally
do,
do. Something
though.
totally
I was pretty
opposite.
much done talking about it, though, so that's why I was just like,
I think we hit all the top notes. It's James Woods. Oh yeah, Stallone's in this movie.
Yeah, nudity. The overlong shower scene is the sex scene. It was funny you're watching it. I remember whenever it comes on, you're sort of watching. You're sort of like,
oh yeah, that was.
you know, and you just like move on.
Is it? It's and then you look up. Oh, it's still going, and it's like they took a shower, and then they're the god. Like I don't know if they didn't just dry off or they're just fucking sweaty again.
Yeah,
and
like,
then they're back in the shower.
Yeah, and they're on the floor of the shower. I'm like, that's gonna hurt my knees.
Yeah,
just looking at that. It's like
that's just no. There's just no. It's never like it is in the movies, guys. That's all.
In real life, it's like, ow, no.
Cramp. That's Charlie horse. No. But yeah, that is. Other than that, it's definitely a fun watch. I do believe, like I said in the post today, that this is like an underrated and sometimes forgotten Stallone movie. Like so many people would be like, "Oh yeah, he did do a movie like that, didn't he?" It's not one that does get talked about a lot, and it is a shame. It's got a decent box office. Stallone was still cashing checks. I mean, you can't be mad at him. I think it was it was Cliffhanger this, and then I think it rolls into what Demolition Man
Demolition Man first? The Demolition Man was 93 or 94. It was Cliffhanger, then Demolition Man, then I think this.
Then this, okay.
Cliffhanger was this big comeback one I remember because I remember he did like Oscar and Stop Where My Mom Was Shooting. It was kind of the dark period of his career.
Yeah, don't let Schwarzenegger sucker you into deals. Is what he learned on that one. But yeah, I still have a soft spot in my heart for Stop Or My Mom Will Shoot. I'm sorry.
I hate movies more than that, I gotta say.
Exactly. I have a soft spot for that. And Oscar, like I've maybe seen it one time and it's fine.
I have it, but I've never seen it. I can watch it.
It's just everyone goes through this. Everyone has these movies they'd like to forget, but it's part of Hollywood. It's part of like paying your dues. You got to do a shitty movie at some point. It's the ones that can't get out of doing shitty movies over and over and over again.
The Segals of the world.
That's who was also offered this. They offered this to Seagal before Stallone. It was on IMDb. And there was one of the things, I think that's why Rennie Harlan turned it down, or someone else turned it down because they didn't want to work with Seagal. And then Seagal wanted $9 million. And they're like,
No.
no. And so, I mean, that's kind of wild that they originally, although I could see it, I kind of would picture this character being a little bit more sleek. Is that the right word? This had no reason to be a bodybuilder like Stallone.
No, it could have been. Yeah, it should have been someone who'd sort of blend into the background. And Stallone is not one of these people. I
Yeah,
said something like Richard Gere or something would have been, maybe.
How did James Woods not see him at the pool when all that chaos
He's
was
like
going?
standing in there.
I hope he doesn't notice me, And James Woods like he's right fucking there in front of you, dude. And
I'm just a pool boy.
Grabs the skimmer. Don't just work. Just doing my job.
I just see some leaves here. Just clean this up.
That's why he could never do like the passing in a crowd. Oh, excuse me. Like, who was that guy?
It has to be Stallone.
And that's what it is. It's like this guy can't blend in and hide from anyone. And I get it. He's more covert as far as from afar when he's setting off the bombs. He didn't need to be that close setting off the Eric Roberts bomb.
No.
But again, I think someone else could have played this role and the movie still would have worked because it's a James Woods movie. But Stallone does it just fine.
It does what it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
My two favorite aspects are James Woods and the music. The music score I just love from John Barry. I listen to it all the time. It's on Spotify. I have it on in a car whenever I'm pretending to blow things up in my head.
There's what it is. Pierce Brosnan's could have done this movie.
Yes, he could have. Yeah.
Because
he did stuff like that, like Live
Oh,
Wire.
he did. What the Detonator? Wasn't that a movie he did?
That too. I think it was Live Wire. That's what it was called.
That's
when he blows up a clown.
I think we're talking about the same movie, and you've got the European title, and I've got the American title. So
movie blows up a clown has to be good.
Yeah. Oh, I fucking hate clowns.
Yeah.
Fucking hate them. I would hope so.
Clown.
Fuck clowns. Yeah. I'll agree with you. There's moments if you close your eyes, is you think you're going to open your eyes up and be watching a Bond movie. It's just the way that his his music composure just works for these type of thriller,
slinky
action. Yes. Very much so.
At the same time,
but he can add tension to the scenes, which the movie did need. There are some halfway decent tension scenes, but he elevated it. If it had been like fucking Danny Elfman or something in this movie, it wouldn't have the same.
No, it would have worked with the.
No. Yeah. And I read that Turn the Beat Around was written for this movie. It ended up becoming a hit song.
Gloria Estefan.
Yeah, Gloria Estefan. And I was like, wow, she wrote it for the Specialist. Yet, if you ask someone, they'd be like, I thought she just wrote that song and that was it. Not that it was for a specific movie.
Yeah.
So,
I love all these. And that was another thing I want to say. I miss things which are set in that kind of Miami where it's all neon and smoky. And it's like you have I don't know why I love this. Like whenever they have these slow moving fans and you see the dappled sunlight coming in, and there's like a bit of mist or whatever. I love all that, and there's just something kind of nostalgic.
It's like a bright, but it still gives a feel of noir to it. That spin and the cutting through the light. Speaking of bright colored shirts, another James Woods line when they take over the elevator. No, get another fucking elevator and get a new fucking shirt. It's like Jesus Christ. Again, half the time I want to believe James Woods just being James Woods, and they went, that kind of works. He yelled at that extra, but let's just leave that in there. It looks good.
Hey, who gave you permission to smile? Or permission to laugh?
Right? And he was laughing. He was making it off like it was a joke, and he gave that guy shit for laughing. He's like, man, you're a son of a bitch.
Being a dick. But I also love whenever he finds the bomb at first, like, who the fuck is this supposed to fool? He throws it away.
Did you find the dummy one or whatever he calls it? And he's like, yeah, who the fuck's gonna fall for this? Jesus Christ.
He's just so arrogant, just every moment. But yeah, the scene where he's like freaking out. And it's like, turn around, don't say anything. He's just waiting for him to start laughing or something. And you see the humor in the girls' faces as well. They're like trying not to laugh. It's
so good. Honestly, if we do villains next week, I think we have to have a little special James Woods in that conversation. Yeah. Exactly. Because honestly, if we hadn't watched this, I probably would have forgotten how much I loved him as a villain in this movie. You know, because there's a lot of action villains that you kind of forget about, you know, until you watch the movie and you go, damn, that guy's actually really fucking good at this. But yeah, James Woods up there now. Like
For sure. Yeah.
He plays a really good son of a bitch.
Always did. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the villains one, actually. So, Ronnie Wheaton, yes, it's your time next week. We're finally giving around the villains one.
Come hell or high water, brother. We're going to get
even if it's just me talking to the camera myself.
Exactly.
We'll finally do it. So, yeah, well, we managed to do it just over an hour. There we go. I didn't think it would even last an hour, but we managed to talk shite for like half an hour, so there was that.
There's always the tangent time. You have to have tangent time.
Yeah, if I don't talk nonsense for a while, and we have to mention He-Man, Castlevania, Star Wars.
We mentioned that. We got
James
it. Batman.
Bond.
We're good.
Mentioned about everything. So.
Covered it, Jay. Man, we got it.
Yeah, there we are. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there then. Unless there's anything else you want to say about The Specialist, I can't think of anything.
Watch it. Period.
Yeah.
That's if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. Don't forget about it. You know, it definitely deserves. I got it in a collection of Stallone, like it was like a 6 or 7 Blu-ray.
I have a Blu-ray box set. The Stallone one has got like Cobra and Demolition Man and everything.
That's the one I've got.
I got it from the UK, but it's region free.
Yep, mine has all the different logos across the Blu-ray. So yeah, it was region free. So I love it because I wanted Demolition Man on Blu-ray, and it was the best way to get it. So watch it. Highly recommend.
Do it. Yeah. So you got any shows coming up this week on your show?
Let's see. We just released our Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors episode this week. So a lot of fun. Try to count how many times we say bitch in the episode. That just happened. Nate decided to do it. And we are coming up on our 100th episode in 2 weeks. And we're doing Demolition Man, which is kind of quiet. It worked out great. We're just sitting there talking about it. Probably one of my favorite action movies.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
And it's more relevant now than even it was back then.
100%. It's one that delivers on everything. You know, it checks every single box for an action movie, and I love it. So that is going to be our 100th episode on the podcast. So check us out.
Tune into that, guys. Alrighty, guys. Well, we should hopefully have a full squad next week. But if not, you know what? We're entertaining enough.
That's right. So we got this.
I'm good enough.
That's right. We're holding it down. We got this.
Next week, we're going to be talking villains and our favorite action movie villains. Now, I want to point out, we're not going to be doing super villains, so I'm not going to mention the Joker or Thanos or anything, because otherwise you're going to have to go on a tangent. We'll be there for hours. We want to talk about proper action movie villains, probably just the 80s and 90s, I think.
I think that's what we were talking about.
We'll streamline into that. Favorite action movie villains of the 80s and 90s. So tune in for that, and that should be good fun. And we shall see you then. So if you are watching, remember, you are the Action Elite, and we'll see you next time.